Hey, good morning. I'm so happy that you're here. We are this morning talking about pain and suffering and how to suffer a little less. From Scotland, welcome, Janice. I see some local Colorado people here. Thank you for spending your Friday morning with me. We are going today talk about some obstacles to peace and then enjoy a nice long guided meditation session. So really all you need for today is maybe a notebook if you want to jot down some notes, and then a quiet place to practice. Also, if you checked the box when you signed up, you'll receive a recording of this to listen to again and or to watch again. Any questions as we get started? Good morning. Okay, so how many of you have had some pretty rough times over the past year or so? Pandemic pain, pain or loss in your family, mental health struggles, divorce, job loss, job gain, moving, all of those things. How many of you have had, you can give me a hands up or any emoji you want, have you had some challenges in the last 6 months to a year? Yeah, me too. Some big ones, like the cup has gotten emptier and emptier, and I keep trying to keep it filled. And usually I do a pretty good job of that, but sometimes things stack up. And what we're going to talk about today is you can't keep bad things from happening, right? They're going to happen. But what we're going to talk about is how we can lessen the intensity, or at a minimum, keep from making it worse. Because a lot of times it's the way we respond that can really add to some of the pain. And I'll share with you as we go my experiences with some of this. But I invite you as we go to think about, and you may even want to start by jotting down 2 or 3 things that come to mind that you've been through recently. They can be big things, they can be little things, but just something that's causing you a little friction or some extra pain. And then as we go through these things in the presentation, think about how they apply to each of those, right? Because the best way to take this into your life is to really think about integrating it with what's going on right now. Okay, here we go. I'm going to turn off my camera and make the presentation bigger. And if you have any questions as we go, feel free to add it in the chat. So in yoga philosophy, there is the essence of who we are, right? And there are lots of things to call this. Please don't get caught up in language or wording, especially if I say something that you're like, that doesn't really fit for me. Find what works for you. So the essence of who you are, spirit, soul, unconditional love, whatever that is at the center. And then the circumstances of life. Okay, so nature, relationships, things that are happening, right? So there's the essence of who you are, and then there's this wild and ever-changing circumstance of life. So the essence of who you are in yoga philosophy, it's unchanging, it's eternal, it's constant. So again, something like spirit or soul or heart, or I like to use unconditional love. It just feels like it's the base of everything. That is the constant. And then there's the shifting, changing, what happens in each moment of life that seems really big at the time. And then sometimes it doesn't seem really big in 10 minutes, sometimes not in a year. Sometimes though it seems big forever. And we're talking about all of those things today. Good morning, Lisa. Okay, so of these 5 things, these 5 obstacles to peace, the first one and the base of all of them is ignorance. So this lack of awareness or lack of understanding, and it's not meant in the negative connotation. It just means that you've lost connection with that knowing of who you really are and being able to see it distinctly from your situation, right? And for most of us, even if we know it, there's a constant forgetting. So this ignorance can be something that we are figuring out for the first time. Hey, I'm not my thoughts. I'm not my circumstances. I'm not what someone else thinks of me. Or it can be that everyday forgetting of that very same information. So the root cause of suffering is this confusion of who we really are with what's happening in life. The second obstacle is ego, right? We tend to see everything through our sense of self, and oftentimes it's distorted. We think we are more than or less than we are, and that causes pain. Everything we see in how it relates to us, how it affects us. Get concerned for how we appear to others, what others might be thinking of us. This ego isn't all bad, right? We survive as an individual in this world. And also, we need to remember that it's constantly creating its best way to survive. And sometimes the instincts of the ego and the holding on of the ego isn't really serving us as we go through life. So we've got that forgetting of the difference between who we really are and the circumstances, and then we've got the ego, the creating a sense of self that may or may not be helpful in each circumstance. And then a big one, attachment. This is holding on to what you want, having an expectation of how things should be, wanting to experience past pleasure, and holding on for dear life. All of these obstacles are rooted in fear. And this one, to me, this one screams out the fear of losing what you have, the fear of losing what you love. And when you hold on tightly, pain will come even if there isn't loss, because there's a fear of losing something that you have. So Mick Jagger and Keith Richards say you can't always get what you want, but if you try sometimes, you just might find you get what you need. That's kind of this idea of trust and letting it flow. My kids also had an elementary teacher who used to say, you get what you get and you don't throw a fit. Very similar concepts, really great ways to be less attached to how we think it should be. And so this isn't just for ourselves. This is oftentimes for others. Maybe for your significant other or your parents or your kids or your friends, like how you think that they should live their life. That type of expectation will cause additional pain and friction. And then kind of the flip side of this is resistance. So avoiding what you don't want. We're trying to hold on to what we do and push away what we don't. This is based on past pain, expectations for future pain, wanting to draw in all the good and push out all the bad. So a lot of times this is being driven by our emotions, right? We don't want to feel pain and this lack of trust. We want to control what's happening. And it was in Glennon Doyle's book, Untamed. At the very beginning, she's talking about saying that she felt broken, that she's doing being human incorrectly, and she can't figure out how not to feel the pain. And after saying this in a group, someone came up to her and said, you have it wrong. Your job as a human isn't to not feel pain. It's to feel everything, right? There's this mix of good and bad, of pleasure and pain. And if we try to micromanage it and only wrap up the pleasure and keep it close to us and push away the pain and keep it far from us and everyone we love, that is a recipe for greatly increasing pain. And then the last one is fear of death. This comes back to that trust and control. And it's wrapped up in all the others. We're trying to hold on to life, push away death, keep this ego, this body, this life that we've created. And an ignorance or a lack of awareness for the difference between our changing physical body, our changing physical circumstances, and the essence of who we are, the spirit of who we are. So in this fear of death and this fear of loss, we feel a greater and greater pain. So again, the difference between the essence of who we are and the circumstances of life, right? We tend to forget who we really are. When we get so wrapped up in the pain of what's happening, we forget who we are. We forget to take a moment to connect with who we really are. And then to review: ignorance, ego, attachment, resistance, fear of death. In yoga philosophy, these are known as the kleshas, or the emotional afflictions. One of the ideas in Yoga Nidra, I teach I Rest Yoga Nidra, and one of the ideas here to help with all of these is welcome what is, or being open to what is. So I want to talk a little bit about this because I find welcome what is to work really well for a lot of things. So I've been practicing I Rest for a couple of years now, and I've taken the training, and it was really working when something bubbled up in life and I felt my resistance to it. I'd be like, ooh, okay, I feel it. I don't want it to be that way. Welcome what is. See the situation for how it is. Let it come in instead of trying to push it away. And then in December, when my dad died, I had a lot of resistance come up, and I felt it, and I felt it come up intensely, and it triggered that welcome what is, right? Welcome what is. And my whole body was like, hell no, we aren't welcoming this. And so at that point, I kind of shifted, instead of calling it welcome what is, being open to what is, because that gave me, in the moment, I'm like, okay, being open to it, right? Because I wanted it not to be true. I wanted it desperately to not be true. But being open, it's happened, right? Open to what is, you can let the floodgates of pain come forward, right? You can feel your way through it and be open to whatever those emotions are, the worst things in the world that you can imagine. Instead of grasping to what was and or resisting what is, you can be in it, and you can experience the intense pain and the lowest lows and the highest highs. And one of the things we'll do in practice is work with opposites. And if you've been with me for a while, you know how much I love opposites and paradox. But this is one of the things that with my dad's death, I explored. The pain was and is so intense. And yet I realized in that the only reason that pain is so intense is because the love was so also intense, right? If we didn't have that deep love, that important relationship, I wouldn't feel the pain. So I'm willing to take the pain for that relationship. So that's an example of the biggest pain in my last life, but in my last year. And I invite you to choose yours. It can be something small if you don't want to look at something big right now. But I encourage you to look at that pain point and see where you're losing the forest for the trees as far as who you really are and who the others really are that are involved in the circumstance. In your ego, right? Like, where are you caught up in making this about your ego or about labels or about what other people might think? Where are you holding on tight? Where are you pushing away? And then looking at fear. The last one in the yoga philosophy is fear of death, but I think it's just fear in general that's really helpful to look. What are you afraid of? What are you afraid of losing? And looking at that fear can give you more information about what's important to you and potentially about steps forward. Okay. Going to stop the share there. I would love for those of you that are here live, if anyone has anything to share as far as which one of those 5 really jumped out to you, and or how you might apply it to something that's going on now, you are welcome. You can let me know and I'd be happy to bring you on screen if you'd like to share what's happening, or you can just share it in the chat if you're more comfortable with that. Anybody have any connections made during those 5 things, or any realizations for the experiences of the hard things? Any agree or disagree? I welcome it all. Anybody still there? Yeah, attachment and resistance. Yeah, it's hard, right? Dominic said that difference between spirit and circumstance, and then 4 is that's resistance, right? Yep. Yeah. Resistance. We resist the stuff we don't want. That's really natural, really natural. But the idea here with the practice of yoga nidra and with meditation is starting with the awareness, right? Because as we develop awareness, we develop the space between what happens and the way we respond. If we're driven by emotion, and in that resistance, we have a surge of fear or anger, and we act directly from that, there's no space. But with meditation, we begin to expand that space. So we realize, ooh, here's what I'm feeling. But then we begin to respond in a way that's aligned with what we value and who we want to be and how we want to interact with the world. Being open to what is talks to me big time right now. Yeah. Yeah. Robin, that whole open what is thing, the other big thing that's going on in my life is I'm transitioning to empty nest this year. Both of my kids are going to college in August, and I'm excited for them. And also I'm sad. And it's just such a big transition point. And I'm trying to stay very open to it and feel the pain of it, feel the joy of it, and really be in it in a way that allows me to be fully me instead of trying to grasp or push away or hold back. So whatever it is that we all have going on, I'm hoping that these 5 obstacles can be helpful to apply, because there's no getting rid of the pain. There's no getting rid of the hard stuff. It will come. I'm guessing it already has come for everyone in here many, many times. But we can strengthen that connection to spirit to essence of who we are, to a sense of grounding and peace in the pain. So for me, meditation has been very powerful and very helpful in making this journey of life just more real and more free, right? Like the idea is that we can experience what's happening without trying to direct things and make them something that they're not, or try to control what we can't control. Jane says, I can so empathize with your comments concerning the loss of your father. It took me years to realize the pain from the loss of my parents could be turned into comfort and the joy of memories. Yes, it is a really big life event, right? That seems strange to call it a life event, but it rocks you. So anybody else have anything you would like to share before we head into the practice? If you're ready, if you don't have anything, if you'd like to add in the chat, keep going in the chat. But if you're ready, find your spot. And you can do the practice seated. You could even do it standing. Some people say they don't want to fall asleep. They want to really hear what happens. You're welcome to do it standing, eyes open, eyes closed. Make sure you're in a safe space and you're not really walking around with your eyes closed. But also most people choose to practice lying down with a pillow and some blankets, maybe a pillow under the knees. Make sure that you're comfortable. That's all that matters. I'll give you a couple of minutes. I'm going to turn off my camera. I'll give you a couple of minutes to get comfortable, and then we will start the practice. So if you're already set, all good. If you aren't quite comfortable yet, keep making adjustments until you feel completely comfortable. Invite comfort and stillness. Adjust your position as needed and surrender into the surface that supports you. Let expectations fall away. Welcome sensation, emotion, and thought with curiosity and openness. Allow your experience to unfold without agenda. As your body settles into stillness, what do you hear? Notice sounds in the distance and sounds nearby. With your eyes open, closed, or covered, what do you see? Shapes, shades of light, color. Do you notice any scents or tastes? Begin to develop an awareness of the space around you. Visualize the walls, windows, the ceiling, the floor. See your body fully supported and feel the points of contact with the surface beneath you. Sense the energy of life moving through your body as your heart beats and your lungs breathe. Rest into a sense of safety and well-being in your body. A feeling of peace and belonging, tranquility and ease. Unburdened, limitless, whole. Bring to mind what matters to you. What gives you a sense of purpose, meaning, and joy? You're welcome to set an intention for your practice. It could be as simple and as challenging as I am present right here, right now, moment by moment by moment. Bring attention now to your body, to each part as you hear it called. Welcome sensation just as it is. Begin with the voice box. Feel the throat, the inside of the mouth, lips, chin, hinges of your jaw, your ears. Take your time feeling your way. not thinking, but sensing both ears at the same time. Welcome sensations along the cheeks and the skin of the face. A warmth or coolness as air exits and enters the nose. Sensation around and deep behind the eyes. Bring attention to the temples, eyebrows, forehead, crown of the head, and back of the head. Bring attention deep inside the right shoulder. Flow a sensation down into the upper arm, elbow, forearm, and wrist. Palm of the right hand, back of the hand, all 5 fingers. Feel the entire right arm from fingertips, wrist, forearm, elbow, upper arm, shoulder to shoulder blade. Shift your attention inside the left shoulder, flowing into the upper arm, elbow, forearm, and wrist, palm of the left hand, back of the hand, all 5 fingers. The entire left arm from fingertips, wrist, forearm, elbow, upper arm, shoulder to shoulder blade. Let attention divide equally into both arms at the same time. And then shift attention into the chest and upper back, deep and surface sensations. And then draw attention into the abdomen and low back, front to back, side to side. Then into the bowl of the pelvis, flowing into the right hip, thigh, knee, shin and calf, ankle and heel, arch and sole of the right foot, and all 5 toes. From the right toes, back up through the leg to the hip, into the pelvis, and then flowing to the left side, hip, thigh, knee, shin, calf, ankle, and heel, arch, sole, and all 5 toes. From the toes, back up the left leg. Feel both legs at once, from toes to hips, and add the pelvis all at once. Sensing also the torso, both shoulders and both arms at the same time. Sensations of the neck, head, face, mouth, and jaw. Welcome the entire body as a symphony of sensations, letting attention move freely, sensing the flow of energy from the back to the front, from side to side, from deep within to surface. Notice again the contact points with what supports you. The whole body at once, sensing yourself as spacious, unchanging awareness in which all of these changing sensations ebb and flow. The flow of sensation, revealing the unchanging nature of the essence of who you are. Connect again with your foundation of calm, peace, of well-being and ease. And bring your attention to the center of your chest. Imagine a warmth and a circle of color, any color that calls to you. As you breathe in, this color expands through your chest and body and into the space around you. As you breathe out, the color centers back near your heart. As you breathe in, the color expands and flows toward your fingers and toes and the top of your head and beyond. As you breathe out, it centers near the heart. Keep flowing with the color. Spacing your breath in a way that's just right for you. And then begin to notice the transitions. Each exhalation arises from the inhalation before it, and each inhalation arises from the previous exhalation. In between, there's a moment of stillness, a hover. Trust the space of transition. As the breath continues, remain as this spacious stillness in which your breath emerges, develops, fades, and transitions. Notice any areas of tension. Allow yourself to sink into the surface that supports you and let your breath flow your pace, your way. Tranquil, peaceful, open. Aware of the changes in sensation, dissolve into the field of unchanging awareness, where changing perceptions continuously unfold. Invite the feeling of sinking, of heaviness. Notice where and how you feel this in your body. Are there any emotions that accompany this feeling? Open to what is, sinking just a bit into the surface. And then bring to mind the feeling of floating, lightness. Notice where this lightness shows up in your body. How does it feel? Does it come with any emotions, images? And then begin to alternate back and forth between sinking and floating. Surrender and freedom. Move back and forth, your pace, your way. And then in your own time, welcome both at the same time. Can you feel a sense of sinking and a sense of floating, being both heavy and light, welcoming both surrender and freedom? Find just the right amount of each and rest in that space. Now bring to mind grasping, attachment. Bring to mind something that you want to stay just as it is. Holding on. Notice where and how you feel this in your body. Are there emotions that accompany this? Does it show up somewhere in some way? Now bring to mind the feeling of resistance, pushing away, not wanting something to be. Where and how do you feel this? Does it come with emotions, images, memories? Begin to move back and forth, grasping and resisting, drawing in, pushing out. Back and forth at your own pace. becoming aware of your attempt to control circumstances. Noticing any roots of fear. Allow that fear to be just what it is. Notice where and how you feel it in your body. And then invite a sense of trust. As you begin to explore trust, does it show up physically? Can you feel it? Can you sense it? Does it come with its own emotions, images, and memories? With courage and confidence, hold space for both your fear and your trust. Opening to what is, allow whatever arises to be felt, seen, and heard. Connecting with a sense of well-being, sensing wholeness as a field-like quality, spacious, open, and safe. Dissolve into unchanging awareness, where all experiences emerge, develop, and fade. Resting into the essence of who you are, you may begin to sense a feeling of coming home to yourself, of belonging, of unconditional love. Connect with a sense of peace that is not dependent upon feelings, emotions, beliefs, or circumstances. You may find other qualities surfacing: joy, compassion, wonder. And if joy feels elusive, return to the miracles of your body, the beating of your heart, the rhythm of your breath, the energy of life moving through you. The mystery of your spirit, the beauty and pain of being human. Experience yourself as unlimited, whole, Sensing your way beyond feelings, emotions, thoughts, beliefs, relationships, and circumstances. Dissolve into being awareness, allowing everything to be just as it is. Simply being just as you are, spacious and unchanging, as changing experiences come and go. Connect with the feeling of unconditional love and belonging. Bring to mind again what matters to you. Create an intention that supports the expansion of these things in your daily life. Imagine living as love, kindness, joy, compassion. Sensing the paradox of being both spacious and vast as awareness, without border or boundary, and all the while being you, here, now. Bring your attention back to your body, to the slow flow of your breath, to the room around you. Create gentle movement in your fingers and toes, and continue to move your body in any way that feels right to you. Yoga Nidra is a practice for filtering the noise, awakening to your true self, and to living with heartfelt joy. Take your time, no rush. Make your way back to seated. As you make your way back, check in with how you feel. If you have a little time after this is over to do a little journaling, it can be a great space to begin to build that sense of who we really are and the difference between that essence and the constantly changing circumstances. So if you have some time to journal, I highly recommend spending a little time with that. And if you have any questions, or let me know how you're feeling, if there was anything that stood out in practice to you, let me know in the chat. Also, you may have noticed my microphone's pretty good, but I would be shocked if it's good enough to filter out my neighbor with the buzzsaw. These are things that happen. So if you heard the buzzsaw, my apologies. I always joke that when I have an event, it's time for someone nearby to mow their lawn. And then a lot of times people say that they can't even hear the lawn mowing. So there's a chance you didn't hear the buzzsaw. But anybody willing to tell me if you heard the buzzsaw? A little bit. Okay. I mean, if it was only tiny, that's good, because it was really loud. You know, open to what is, right? My neighbor's working on some home improvements, and what can you do? I heard it and it's okay. Did quite a bit. Okay. Yep. Yeah. So this is a practice of being open to what is, and also of my rejection of welcome what is, right? Like, I'm not welcoming the buzzsaw. This is really an inopportune time for a buzzsaw. I'm open to it. There's nothing I can do to change it. And so we're moving on through it. Oh, Jane said she didn't hear it. Okay. Well, the joys. Jane said maybe it was her hearing. Thank you all for being here. I hope you have something that you can take away from this practice and into your daily life, even if it's just noticing that sense of grasping and resisting, or the underlying fear. Or that difference between who you really are, the essence of who you are, and the constantly changing circumstances. Any little bit that finds its way into your life, that's the magic. All right. Much love to all of you. Feel free to reach out by email. I will send a recording of the practice probably tomorrow. But again, my email is jen@jenwilking.com, or you can connect with me on Instagram too and message me there. Otherwise, I hope to see you again soon. Take care, everyone. Thank you. You're welcome. Thanks for being here. Bye-bye.